You wake before the light knows how to fall. It's not just early. It's the kind of early that forgets what warmth means. The cold is old, older than you. You don't shiver anymore. That luxury has passed. Instead, you lie still listening. Letting the silence tell you what kind of morning this is. There is no fire yet, no rustle of cloth, no clink of pot or voice, only the faint hiss, wind dragging itself under the door like a tired animal. The blanket, thin, coarse, unkind, has slipped down. You lift it back, careful not to wake the others. Sudden movements make you visible. Visible is dangerous. The fabric smells of smoke, damp wool, something sour. It never smelled clean, but now it smells lived in. Used by many. Claimed by none. Your back presses into straw, flattened, poking through in stubborn places. Below the straw, wooden planks. Cracked, bowed, splintered. You know where they bite if you forget to lie still. You forgot once. Now when it rains, your left foot reminds you. No one says your name, not yesterday. Not the day before, maybe not this week. Names are given to people with futures. You are not sure you still qualify. You sleep near the back wall, where the wind leaks and the tools go to die. Barrel, you are not a fighter, not a farmer, not a part of anyone's story, really. You are just the one who waits for the fire to start. Your fingers find your boot. It's stiff. Crusted at the heel, bent wrong from cold. You should have moved it last night, but the wall was dry. And you were tired. You are always tired, not sleepy. Just worn. A cough cracks the silence near the hearth. One sharp bark. Then stillness again. No one moves. It's not their turn. It might be yours. You hope not. Your hands still burn from yesterday's splinters. The axe handle was damp, the blade dull. You think about fire? Not the light. The sound it makes. That soft pop when bark gives in. That sigh like something remembering how to breathe. You miss that. The roof above you is thatch, frayed and thin. When the wind shifts, it brings snow through the seams. Not much. Just enough to remind you it's there. You feel the air change. It bites your cheek, sharp. Quick, familiar. The man 2 spots down snores like broken leather. The woman next to him murmurs in sleep. You never asked their names. Silence here is safer than memory. Kneading is dangerous. You shift slowly. The straw whispers. Dust stirs in the shaft of pale light filtering through the roof crack. You stare at it. It glows like something sacred, this thin golden thread caught in the air. It touches nothing but space, but you pretend it lands only on you. You don't move. Don't speak, don't need, not yet. There's something under your hip, a hard lump, old crust or a bone fragment, left from supper. You don't eat at night anymore. Dreams come when you do, and dreams have teeth now. A rat shifts near the door. You hear its claws, fast and curious. It pauses. It knows you're awake, but it does not run. Even rats don't fear you anymore. You press the boot closer. The cold leather grates against your fingers. Cold moves like memory here, soft at first, then everywhere. You don't notice until something stops working. A breath. A hand. A thought. Someone moves again near the fire pit, not to rise. Just to ache. No one wants to be first. You let your head tilt. Not sleep, not rest, just waiting for warmth to arrive from someone else's effort. It won't, but hope, like dust, floats when the light hits just right. And that sliver of light, it lingers. You stare into it, steady. Because for now, it's the only thing soft enough to believe in. Before we move on, tell me something. What time is it where you are, and where are you listening from? Leave it in the comments, not for numbers, not for reach. Just so I know, someone's still out there, still listening, still breathing. Still here, you are not the kind carved into stone. No sword, no saga, no song in your name. Your story is not told around fires. Your face does not hang from woven banners. You live behind stories, just beyond their edge. You were not born into firelight, not into warmth, nor prophecy. You arrived in silence, unnoticed, behind a curtain of steam, perhaps. Beneath layers of wool, others kept for themselves. You learned early. Quiet survives longer. Eat softly. Step lighter than the creek. Wait for others to speak. Agree with a look, not a voice. You became good at being invisible. So good that even when you returned, no one was sure you had left. Even now, when you sit in plain view, they sometimes speak as if you're not there. Not cruelly, just indifferently. You do not belong to the fire circle. Not to the bench near the meat, not to the front when tales are told, but you are allowed space. On the floor, near the wall, beside the empty pot once everyone's eaten. You are not celebrated, but you are kept. Someone always makes just enough room. A spot of soup, a look when something needs mending, not a request. Not quite trust, but acknowledgement. You clean what others leave. You gather what's dropped. You fold the wool no one thanks you for. After the feast, when the laughter fades, you stay, collecting bones from between footprints. Once, just once, a piece of honeyed bread appeared by your sleeping mat, wrapped in cloth, still warm. No one said a word, you didn't either, but that moment has outlasted meals far richer. Kindness comes seldom, so you carry it like a relic. The others? They speak loud. They clap backs, boast bloodlines, argue storms. You do not enter those storms. You move around them, like smoke that knows not to interrupt fire. And yet, when you are alone and your hands are raw from work and the pot is scrubbed clean, you sometimes sit, just sit, not to serve. Not to await, but to feel what it's like to take up space without apology. It never lasts long. Soon someone will return, and the space will remind you who you're supposed to be. Small, silent, needed, but not known. You are not their kin, not their rival, not even their memory. You are a form near the threshold. A shape that carries buckets, a breath that clears the ashes. But there are moments, quiet ones, when the house sighs and the wind rests. You feel something stir. Pride. Not loud, not the kind that wears feathers, but the slow, buried kind. The kind that hums behind the ribs when your corner is clean, your tools are in place, and your work is done with care. You do not ask for more. You do not wish to be seen. But deep down, you know, the loud ones are remembered by people, the quiet ones by the house, and sometimes the house remembers longer. The wooden spoons shaped to your grip, the firewood stacked how only you know, the floor swept in your rhythm. These things know you. That has to be enough. You rise slowly now. The cold air takes your breath and shows it to you. A faint cloud gone in a blink. It is time. Still here with me. What does it feel like to be the one they forget, but the house cannot do without? Let me know where you're listening from. Not for reach. Not for the count. Just so I remember you too. You sit where no one else ever chose to sit. Not because it was offered, not because it was meant for you, but because no one claimed it, and so it became yours. A patch of floor in the far corner of the longhouse, not near the fire, not near the door. Not near anything, really, just far enough to be forgotten. The straw beneath you is blackened in places. It clumps where damp has settled too long. It no longer smells like wheat. It smells like old cloth, closed air, and time left too long alone. In the coldest nights, it freezes. You wake with your hair stiff, frozen where it touches the floor. You do not cry out. Only sit still, waiting for movement to return to your joints. Sometimes your knees ache when you stand. They click. You are not old, not yet, but your body is learning silence too. Behind you, the wall leaks resin. In summer, it glistens and clings. In winter, it splits and hardens like old glass. You lean on it anyway, because pain, when it stays long enough, becomes something solid. You have no pillow. Sometimes you fold your arm, sometimes a discarded cloth, something left behind by someone else without notice. You make it yours by using it. Once someone left a scrap of fur near your place, dusty, burned at one edge. You took it, you said nothing. Now it sits beneath your ribs as you rest. Not for warmth, but because owning even one thing, even a ruined thing, feels like a kind of breath. Above you, a thick wooden beam stretches across the roof. It's old, too dark for grain, too dry to creak. But it holds your breath. Every night, your exhale hits the same place, a faint mark only you know. Not a name carved, not a claim, just presence. The fire is a distant flicker, blocked by bodies, backs, stories not meant for you. You warm yourself with the idea of fire, its imagined sound, its remembered light. Sometimes someone shifts and flame spills your way, just for a second, just across your feet. Then gone. You never follow it. Light is a visitor here. And visitors do not stay long with people like you. Beside you, a streak of soot runs along the floor, faint. Bent slightly at the middle, you know it's the rat's path. Every night it walks this line. It does not pause, it does not fear. You leave crumbs sometimes. Not as kindness, but as permission. It is the only thing that walks toward you. Once it chewed your laces. You did not curse. You tied them with old rope. And they still hold. You've learned how to repair without permission, how to mend without asking, how to keep things together without being noticed. The smells here are layered. Salt, sweat, wet wool, old broth, burnt grease, smoke pressed into walls. You do not smell them anymore. Except when something new arrives, a stranger's breath, a whiff of warm bread. Then everything old rises again, like ghosts angry at being replaced. This house does not offer privacy, no curtains, no corners that do not echo. Every sound is shared, a cough, a sob, a mutter in sleep. You remember the night someone cried for their mother? One slap silenced them. No one looked. No one mentioned it again. In this place, not seeing is the closest thing to mercy. And yet here, in this corner of straw and soot, where no one sits and no one checks, you find a shape, yours. It does not belong, but it fits. The moldy scent does not drive you away. The cold does not force you out. The silence, you've made peace with it. This is your place. Not by kindness, not by invitation, only by persistence. By the fact that you're still here. Somewhere, a bowl touches wood, a soft clink near the fire. That is the signal. Morning has begun. So you rise. Still here with me? If this space feels familiar, if you've ever found comfort in the edges of a room, tell me, where are you listening from? What time is it there? Not for reach, not for the algorithm. Just so I know, you found your corner too. You move like someone who has done this before. No urgency. No noise. Nothing in this place rewards speed. Only silence. Only certainty. You swing your legs over the edge of your straw mat. Your feet meet the floor. Cold, damp, uneven. It greets you without welcome. The chill climbs quickly. First your soles, then your ankles, then a quiet request from your bones to stay still. You do not listen. Your toes find moisture in the wood grain. You do not flinch. You adjust. You let numbness arrive without resistance. Your breath clouds in the dim light, thin wisps, small enough to vanish before they matter. You stretch your fingers. They crack, dry, familiar, not pain, just proof. You lean forward, curl inward, your arms wrap around your ribs like memory. Something aches on one side. You don't know why. Maybe from carrying too much. Maybe from sleeping wrong. Maybe from always bracing. Then, a sound. Outside. The clean, distant split of wood, a rhythm known by heart. Lift. Hold. Exhale. Strike. The pause after the hit tells you more than the hit itself. Someone else rose before you today. That is good. It means the fire is coming, eventually. You listen closely. The blade speaks through bark. The wood answers in halves. No voices, just purpose. You turn to your boots. They sit where you left them, crusted at the seams, curled from cold. You tip them upside down. You always do now. Once you didn't. And woke to claws inside. This time, nothing falls out. A small mercy. You push your feet in slowly. The leather bites first, then settles. Your toes disappear somewhere near the sole. They will come back later. Maybe. You pull your tunic over your head. It smells of old sweat, smoke, and the day before yesterday. The cloth is coarse, familiar as breath. You don't think about it. You just fold into it like instinct. Behind you, someone coughs. Soft. Brief. No one turns. No one answers. This house does not greet the day with words. Words are rationed like firewood, saved for injury. For anger, for instruction, not for mornings. You glance toward the hearth. Nothing moves there, only a pit of ash, cool, silent, waiting. You know what must happen. You saw the woodpile by the door last night. You remember which logs stayed dry. No one tells you. No one needs to. You step lightly past sleeping shapes, a heap of cloaks, a curled child with restless legs, the woman who sleeps with one eye open. No sound, only shifting breath. The door is slightly open. Not wide, just enough for the light to enter sideways, a thin blade across the dirt. You step into it. It touches your cheek like a hand that forgot how to be warm. You squint, not from pain, but from surprise. The sky is gray-blue. The kind that means it hasn't decided what to become. The air bites deeper now, not to wound, just to remind. You cross the threshold, one step, then another. Outside, the world stretches silent. Only the axe speaks, still listening. Tell me something. Do mornings feel like this, where you are? The cold. The pause, the quiet that makes you remember you're still alive. Leave a comment. Even just the time, or a city, so I know you're still here. The bucket waits. It always does. Just beside the door. Half full, half forgotten. Frozen along the top. A thin sheet of silence covering something deeper. No one touches it with care. It is not sacred, not cherished. Just necessary, until morning comes, until skin must wake up. Until the cold must prove it still matters. You kneel beside it. The wood beneath your knees groans. Not from you, from memory. This floor has held hundreds of mornings, just like this. You do not speak. You dip your fingers in. The ice does not crack right away. Then, a soft, quick pop, like something breaking gently inside you. And then the sting. Sharp, inevitable, the kind of cold that speaks before it touches. You hold your breath. You do not retreat. You've done this too many times to hesitate. This is how days begin here. You cup the water. It escapes between your fingers, faster than you can hold it. None of our hands are whole anymore. You splash it onto your face. Once. Then again, the cold runs like truth. Down your neck, into your chest, tight across your ribs. Your mouth opens. No sound comes. Pain does not need a witness. There is no towel. Only your sleeve, damp before, soaked now. You wipe your face anyway, dragging away more than water. More than sleep. You erase whatever still clung to yesterday. There is no mirror for you. There's one in the big house, yes, a sheet of polished metal, rimmed in carved bone. But it was never meant to hold your reflection. The only one you get is in the bucket. And only when the surface is still, which it rarely is. Still, some mornings, just before the ripples begin, you see something, a face, not proud, not broken, just still trying. The door creaks with the wind. The bucket shudders. You rise, you know where you must go next. The latrine is not inside, never was. You step into the morning. The cold greets you without apology. Snow crunches beneath your boots, wet. Heavy, resigned. The path isn't marked, but your body remembers. Left at the broken log, past the splintered fence. Avoid the soft earth near the dip. It swallowed a goat once. The forest gathers around you, bare trees with fingers for branches. They reach up, not out. No welcome. Only shape. The wind sounds different here. It whispers across bark, between trunks, like someone speaking through teeth. You do not fear it, it tells no lies. At the edge of the woods, you see it. The crooked hut, leaning sideways. The latrine, perched above it, still as statues. The crows, dark. Patient, watching, not cruel. Just waiting. They do not mock, they recognize. You do what you must, quickly, quietly. No one teaches this. Everyone learns. The cold finds places it should not reach. Your legs shake as you stand, not from shame, from effort. You adjust your layers. The wind tugs at the edges. The crows do not move. One tilts its head, not curious, familiar. As if it sees what others miss, not dirt, not weakness. Endurance. You meet its gaze, then nod. To the tree, to the wind, to the morning. Behind you, the crows remain, waiting for the next quiet visitor. Still with me. What's the coldest morning you remember? What did it take from you? What did it leave behind? Leave a thought in the comments. Just a time, a place. A name the frost once forgot. Let the forest know you passed through. You carry the cold with you, even after the door closes. It clings to your cheekbones, crusts along the edge of your breath. Your eyes water, not from sorrow, but from wind that does not ask to enter. The longhouse shifts as you return. Not awake, not still, just turning slowly, like a beast caught between dreams. No one speaks, not yet. Words are too expensive for mornings like this. The fire has begun, or something like it. A low whisper of smoke rises from reluctant coals. Someone crouches close, coaxing heat from wood that does not want to burn. You pass behind them, say nothing, offer nothing. They do not ask. The smoke brushes your clothes as you walk, a touch both old and knowing. It smells of every morning that ever happened here. Every back bent near flame, every bowl filled without joy. You find yours. Still where you left it. A wooden shape, dark with years, cracked at the rim. It fits your hands like a memory. Near the pot, you find a ladle. You stir, scoop. Pause. Gray oats. Thin. Tired, stretching further than they should. A few scraps of dried fish float on the surface. Not enough to change the taste. Just enough to remember it had one. You carry the bowl to your place. Not the corner today, closer to the door where light dares to enter. No one notices. Or they choose not to. You sit cross-legged. Back low, the bowl sits in your lap like something sacred. You do not eat right away. You stir first, let steam rise, faint, fading. It's not about heat. It's a ritual, a way to say, I am here, this is real. Then a bite, cold already. The oats paste themselves against your teeth. The fish stays sharp and dry. You chew anyway, not for flavor. For rhythm, each bite is a way to stay. to stay quiet, to stay busy, to stay human. You eat slowly. Because fast eating makes it end too quickly. Because slow eating lies to the hunger. Because this is all there is. You hold the bowl with both hands. By the third bite, it offers no warmth. But you still hold it. Because pretending is its own kind of comfort. Around you, others eat too. No one speaks. No one hums or prays. Only the soft scrape of spoons, the shuffle of cloth on rough knees. A single cough, quickly hushed. Even the fire holds its breath. You look into your bowl. Near the edge, a thin strip of fish skin clings to the wood. You eat that too. Everything has value. Everything must go. You scrape the bottom clean, not because you're still hungry, but because it feels like respect. And when you're done, you sit still a moment longer, holding the emptiness, letting it warm your palms by memory alone. You are not full, not in the stomach, but something else fills you. The shape of the act, the quiet dignity of eating and being. For a few minutes, you are not invisible. You are just a person with a bowl, and sometimes that is enough. Still here. Is it strange that this feels familiar? If so, leave a small note. Where are you listening from? What time is it? What are you holding right now? A bowl? A thought? A silence? Let me know. So I know you're still here. You place the empty bowl down without ceremony. No one looks. No one nods. No one thanks you. Thanks are for things that end. This just continues. The door is already open. A sliver of sky. A blade of cold. You do not hesitate. There is work. There is always work, and the weather does not care about the shape of your fatigue. The air hits your face like a hand that doesn't remember it slapped you yesterday. Not sharp today, but heavy. Like wet cloth hung too long, pressing down with its own weight. The snow beneath your feet is not new. It is packed, uneven, shaped by footsteps frozen again, hiding puddles like traps. Mud waits under the surface, ready to betray your balance. You walk anyway. Boots sink just enough to twist your steps. Your ankles adjust. Your knees lock, then yield. The wind arrives, not with sound, but with pressure. It speaks in low whispers, filling your ears, tugging tears from your eyes. You let them fall. Tears don't change the cold. They just take longer to freeze. You pass the fence line, tilted posts like old ribs, leaning without hope of standing straight again. One is missing, the one that burned in a storm 2 winters ago. No one replaced it. Your path curves downward. You follow prints left by others, half melted, filled with ice. A smear of blood tells you someone snared something small. A rabbit, maybe. The stain is dark, familiar. Each step is careful, not from fear, from memory. You've slipped before. You keep your eyes low, not just to watch the ground, but because the sky offers nothing. No comfort, no promise, just clouds flat and pale, holding back more snow. Birds pass high above. They make no sound. They do not pause. The wind catches you mid-step. You shift your weight, lean forward. Not out of choice, but necessity. You've learned this. In this world, you bend or you fall. A patch of ground gives underfoot. Your boot slides sideways. For one breathless moment, you hover, then you land. Hard, steady, you check your hands. They're clenched. You open them slowly. Nothing broken. You walk on. A ridge of snow crosses your way. Beyond it, the tree line waits. Dark trunks like pillars, watchful, unmoved. You do not fear the trees. They do not deceive. They do not take. They simply are. What you fear is what walks between them. Things with eyes you never see. Names you are not allowed to know. But this is not a day for fear. This is a day for action. You pull your cloak tighter. It has holes now. The wind knows them all. Still, You move forward because the task is ahead, and tasks are how you remain. How you are seen, how you are not erased. Still with me. Does the wind feel like this where you are? Does it whisper through your sleeves? Does it test your steps? Leave me a sign, just a time, a place, a direction the wind once pushed you toward, so I know you're still walking, still here. The sun is up, but only halfway. It lingers behind the trees, watching like someone unsure if they should enter. The clearing is touched by light, but not warmed by it. You pick up the axe. It feels heavier than yesterday, not because your arms are weaker, but because the cold has crept in further. The handle is worn smooth, the blade chipped where it caught stone instead of wood. The pile leans dangerously. A tangle of twisted roots, wet logs, and rounds no one could split before. You choose carefully, not the easiest, just the one that might yield. Your breath clouds the air. You shift your stance. 2 hands. One swing. Thud. It echoes like a heartbeat. A bird rises, not startled, just moved. Even it knows this rhythm. You strike again. And again. The axe is not a tool. It is a demand. It wants movement. It wants weight. Your palms go numb. Your fingers tighten from instinct. The ache grows, but you do not stop. Because no one says when you can, and no one will say when you should. You split 7 logs. Stack them, turn, split more. Someone joins you, older, broader, with hands like bark. They say nothing. They nod once. You nod back. That is the entire language. Later you move to the bones. Leftovers from yesterday's kill. A deer, maybe. The ribs are cracked, the spine half peeled. You take the smaller blade, sharpened this morning. It bites clean. You crouch low. The smell rises. Copper, wet, slightly sweet. You do not flinch. You do not gag. You cut. Tendons. Skin, membrane. You know what to keep. What to toss. What to save for someone else. No words. Just work. Then the boat. A broken hull, resting on stone. Crack down the seam. You kneel beside it. Mix pitch with ash. Spread it with a flat stone. Your breath ghosts the wood. You press the seal in with your thumbs. It stains your skin, black sticky. You don't wipe it off. There is no point. Then come the stones. Not because they need moving, but because someone said they should be moved. So you lift. Step, lift again, not for distance. Not for speed, just until the light runs out. No one times you. No one counts. You measure by shadow. When it grows long, you know the work is nearly done. Not complete, never complete, just paused. You feel your hands tremble. You only notice when the axe slips, a little too far, a little too fast. It skims your boot. Cuts the leather. Damp spreads near your toe. You glance down. You say nothing. The pain is not now. The pain is later. Now, there is still work. Wood, bone, stone. These things do not ask questions. They only wait. Still here? Is your day built from tasks too? What are your hands holding? Leave a word, a time, a country. Let me know you're working too. Let me know I'm not the only one swinging the axe in cold air. You wipe your hands, but the stains stay. Pitch, ash, marrow. Smells that sink deep and refuse to leave. You don't scrub. You've learned. Marks are proof. Proof of work, proof of presence, proof that you were not just passing through. Someone brushes past. Broad shoulders, heavy steps. Steam rising from their skin. You do not step aside, but you do not look up either. That's the rule here. Eye contact is a risk, a question. A door you may not want to open. You look once, just long enough to show you're not afraid, then down. To your boots, to the wood, to the snow that remembers every footstep longer than any person does. They do the same. This is conversation in its own way. A glance replaces a sentence. A grunt becomes permission. A shoulder shift is a warning. Words are rare. They belong to those who can afford mistakes. The rest of you must trade in signals. You've learned how to speak without sound. How to say, "I'm here," by the way you move. How to show respect with space, with silence, with timing. Even kindness here is silent. A hand steadying another's balance. A piece of food left on a stone. A blanket pulled higher while someone sleeps. You never talk about these things. You do them once. Let them fade. Because naming them makes them fragile. And fragile things break in places like this. Once you nodded too quickly. To the wrong person, at the wrong moment, they did not strike you. But they looked, long and deep, the kind of look that peels you apart from the inside. That tells you how much you do not belong, yet are still tolerated. You carry that look inside your ribs, even now, so today you keep your distance. You match breath to footsteps. You walk near, but not too near. You hold your tool like you mean it. Not like a threat, not like a plea, like a fact. Somewhere near the fire pit, a pot shifts. No one speaks, but two people rise. Not by order, by rhythm. You nod at one. A small one, wrapped in fur, too big. They nod back. And for a heartbeat, you are part of something. This place does not need loud, it needs real. It needs steady. Sometimes a word is spoken, just one. Move. Enough. Sharp. Don't. And that one word moves like thunder. Everyone hears. Everyone knows. Words here are not for stories. They're for survival. So you save them. You save them like warmth. Today, you say nothing. You listen. To the wind combing through reeds, to boots over snow, to a breath held 1 second too long. To teeth clicking shut before a thought becomes a sentence. This is how people live together, without saying everything, sometimes without saying anything. You meet a pair of eyes by the woodline, rough hands, jaw set. Eyes not unkind. You nod, they nod back. That's enough. Still with me? Have you ever said something with nothing? A look, a shift, a silence. Leave it if you'd like. Just a word in the comments. Let it sit there. Quietly, like you would. The hearth is not a place. It is a presence. It lives in the center of the longhouse, not marked by walls, but by respect. Soot clings to the beams above it. Heat hovers without shape. Memory thickens the air around it. Everything happens near the hearth. But never too close. You stand where you're allowed, at the edge. With the others who know better than to approach too soon. The fire is not sleeping. It breathes in short bursts. Hissing, spitting sparks, sending black threads of smoke along the ceiling like quiet warnings. The pot hangs as it always does, iron, scarred, suspended above slow coals. Even when empty, it stays there, a ritual, a reminder. Today, it is not empty. Steam curls upward, heavy. It smells of bone and salt and meat boiled to surrender. Not hunger quenching, just persistent. The kind of smell that clings to your hair long after you've walked away. No one speaks near the hearth, not because they're reverent, but because words can spoil more than taste. This space has its own rules, older than any person here. You wait your turn. Not first, never first, but not last either. A man steps forward, large, quiet. He lifts the ladle with practiced ease, pours his share, steps aside. No words, no nod, no questions. A woman moves next. She leans too far. The pot shifts. A drop spills, dark against dirt. She stiffens, steps back quickly. Everyone saw. No one says anything, but they will remember. You do too. You remember your first spill. The silence that followed. The hunger that came after. A lesson you still carry. Now, your turn. You step forward, both hands ready, grip steady. Eyes down. The ladle comes to you. The server does not speak. Does not look up, just pours. A thin broth. Flecks of something, maybe root, maybe muscle. Doesn't matter. You nod, just slightly, and step away. Back to your place, not in the corner today, near the wall. Where no one sits too close. You lower yourself, cross your legs. Cup the bowl with both hands, not for heat, for balance. You eat slowly, not from politeness, from calculation. Slow eating stretches time, tricks the stomach, buys you peace. The broth is thin, but it is warm, and that is something. You chew the pieces carefully, let them dissolve. Do not rush. No one rushes here, not unless there's a reason. Behind you, the fire snaps. Someone clears their throat, another sets a spoon too hard on wood. No one reacts. Noise is not an invitation here, just a fact. You scrape the sides of the bowl. Let nothing go to waste. Even now, empty. You hold it for a moment longer, because sometimes holding something is the closest thing to having. Then you set it down, slow, careful. You will not spill, not again, still with me. Have you ever eaten in silence, not because you wanted to, but because the air was too thick with memory? If yes, leave me something small, a city. A time, a word that stayed in your mouth, so I know you're still here. You return to your place, not because it is warm, not because it is safe, but because it is yours, and sometimes that is enough. Your feet throb, not sharp pain, but a dull protest. Your fingers don't hurt anymore. They've stopped trying. The cold is no longer outside you. It has settled in, layer by layer, like breath that forgot to leave. You lower yourself slowly. The fire glows behind backs. You see it flicker through arms, through hair. A soft pulse hidden by others. It does not reach you. You pull the fur across your knees. Old, torn, rough in some places, bare in others. It smells of dust, smoke, and memory. You've kept it longer than names, longer than some people you used to know. It is not warm, but it reminds you of warmth, and that tonight is enough. You slide a second skin over your shoulders, stiff, cracked. It once belonged to something with a name, a dog perhaps, or a goat. Or someone who didn't survive the last deep snow. You don't ask, you don't need to. Your hand searches the floor. There, a thin line of ash left from the morning's fire, still faintly warm. You press your palm into it. It doesn't burn, but it hums. You hold it there. Let it speak to your skin, not your flesh, your memory. It is better that way. Heat kept in the body fades. Heat kept in the mind stays longer. Someone near you shivers. Their blanket slips. They do not move to fix it. They've surrendered for now. You glance once, then down. Because here, to witness someone's cold is to inherit it, and no one has space for more. You tighten your arms. Bury your chin in frost-stiff cloth. You do not shift. Motion invites the air back in. Someone behind you breathes too fast. Not panic, just trying to trick themselves into sleep. You understand. You've tried that rhythm too. You wish for straw that hasn't molded. For fur without holes. For a wall that doesn't groan with every gust. But wishing is a noisy thing. There are no healers. No bundles of dried herbs. No whispered remedies handed down from mother to daughter. Only guessing. Only space. If you are lucky, someone will reach for your forehead. Just for a moment. 2 fingers, the back of a hand. Today someone does. A calloused palm. Brief, heavy. They whisper something, a name, a hope. A god's name, maybe. May Odin see you. Then they are gone. Quickly. Before the sickness decides it wants more, you lie back, not because you want to. Because there is nowhere else to go. The straw is uneven. scratchy. But you barely feel it. Your skin burns, your lungs scrape. Your stomach shifts like water over stone. You draw your furs to your chin. They are not warm, but they are yours. You cannot fix them now. You cannot fix anything now. You close your eyes, not to sleep, but to see fire in your mind. To pretend it is near. It isn't. The fire is on the other side of the room. Behind laughter, behind shoulders. It belongs to people who still stand up without effort. You drift, or maybe you just stop noticing. The ceiling above you blurs. The wooden beams turn into rivers, into scars, into shapes that once meant something. Someone walks past. Their boots press softly into the dirt. They do not stop. You do not blame them. You would not stop either. Sickness is not a thief. It is something more patient. It waits, takes slowly, silently. And if it takes you, you only hope it takes the pain with it. You do not ask for anything more. No healing, no miracle, just maybe one more breath that doesn't hurt. Your lips part, the air tastes like ash, like nothing. No one knows you are awake, still here? Have you ever been sick in silence? No visitors, no words, just your own breath, measured, uncertain. If you have, leave me something, a city, a year. A time you made it through, so I can remember it with you, so I know you're still breathing too. You do not remember falling asleep, only waking, unsure if this is morning or just another shade of night. The kind that does not brighten, only shifts slightly. You lie still. The longhouse is quiet, too quiet, not the peace of rest, but the stillness of waiting. You lift your head. It swims. Your breath fills your ears, louder than it should be. Someone stirs nearby, not toward you, just away. They know you are unwell, and fear, like illness, travels fast, even without touch. But this is not fever fear, not the kind that burns or shakes. This is something colder. Older, it lives in the joints, in the back of the neck. Passed down like a blanket no one admits they need. You feel it now, woven into the dark. It is not fear of wolves, not of raiders. It is the fear of what doesn't knock. What doesn't need a door. What slides in through seams and silence. The kind that hums just below hearing. You have never seen it, but you have always known. Everyone does. Even the ones who whistle too loud, who joke near fire, they know. There's a creak near the door, long, slow, like the wood remembering something painful. You freeze, not because you think something is coming, but because you hope it isn't. An elder once said, "The worst things never make noise when they come." You believe that now, with your whole body. You inhale through your nose. Quiet, controlled, like a fire that knows it has no wood left. You stare into the dark, not to see, just to feel. And the dark stares back. Some say it is the spirits of the trees. Others say the gods. Old ones, restless, watching. You don't know which to hope for, because gods have tempers, and forests have none. There is a knock, not near, not far. Stone, not wood. Your heart doesn't speed up. It slows. You reach for your blanket, threadbare. But now suddenly holy. You do not speak. You do not whisper names. Not tonight, because calling something might make it come, and you are not ready to find out what it wants. Your eyes do not close, not for a long time, even after the sound fades. Because fear doesn't leave when the noise does. It stays. Soft. Patient, certain, still awake. Do you know this kind of fear? Not sharp, not screaming. Just heavy, without shape. A fear that waits with you in the dark. If you do, say something. A place, a year. A silence you still remember, so I know we're not alone in this. You do not think of yourself as a believer. Not out loud, not with words. But belief here is not about hymns, or temples, or priests. It is about habits. And habits keep you alive. When you light the fire in the morning, your fingers raw, your breath clouding your vision, you say her name, Freja. Not loudly, just enough for the flame to hear, just enough for the smoke to carry it upward. When you lift the axe, aiming for a knot that split too many blades, you whisper his name, Thor, not for strength, but so the wood does not take yours. When your boots sink into snow too deep and the trees ahead look wrong, as if they've moved slightly since yesterday, you say nothing, but you think of Odin, of his one eye, of how much he must have seen and how much he chose to ignore. You do not carry amulets, they cost too much. You once tied a string of carved bone around your wrist, but it fell off in the river. You took that as a sign. You tell yourself it meant nothing. But part of you still avoids that river. The truth is, you do not know what you believe, but you know what happens when you forget to believe. The day you forgot to whisper before the hunt, you slipped on wet stone, and the meat spoiled before nightfall. The day you mocked someone's prayer, your only dry boots tore at the seam. Coincidence? Maybe, but coincidence wears a familiar cloak in these lands. It looks like punishment. So now, when you stir the pot, you whisper thanks. Not to anyone in particular, just thanks. When a child stops crying, you look up and nod to no one. When a wolf's howl cuts across the dusk, you press your thumb to your chest and say nothing, because silence, too, is a kind of offering. You have seen others cross themselves, others bow, others spit. Each house has its own way, each hand its own shape of fear. What matters is the doing, not the reason. Because out here, in the cold, in the dark, in the space between trees, it is not about proof. It is about not being the one who forgets. You reach for your bowl, tap it once, and say Freja's name, just in case. Do you have names like that? Ones you do not speak unless something aches, something slips, something breaks? Let me know in the comments. Not for doctrine, not for belief. Just for the quiet part of you that still knocks before entering the dark. There is a moment, not every day, not even every week, but sometimes, something gentler arrives. It does not knock. It does not warn, it just softens the air. You hear it first. Not from the fire, not from the woods, but from the center of the house, near the old crates and broken bench. A small laugh, short, uncertain. Like someone testing their voice. You look. Two children, barefoot, covered in soot and scratches, are crouched beside a pile of bones. They are playing, tossing them like stones, calling out scores, inventing rules no one else understands. They laugh again, louder this time. No one stops them, not because it's allowed, but because, for now, no one has the strength to forbid joy. You lean against the wall. The fire behind you crackles, brighter than usual. Someone is talking. Not giving orders, just telling a story, their voice low. Warm in the way only old things can be. You do not catch every word, but it is about a sea serpent, or a king with no face, or a dream where snow turned to feathers. It does not matter. The meaning is in the rhythm, the hush between syllables, the way people stop chewing just for a moment to listen. Even the crows on the rooftop go quiet. You close your eyes, not to sleep, just to hold the moment in place. The smell of broth, the light flickering behind your lids. The feeling of dirt beneath your knees. You know it will not last. Someone will cough. A pot will spill. The wind will remind everyone that winter is still outside, waiting. But for now, there is the sound of bones clacking in a game. The trace of a smile behind a beard, a silence that is not heavy. You breathe it in. Let it settle in the corners of your chest, a quiet kind of pull. And when the story ends, no one claps. No one speaks, but no one moves right away either. Do you remember your soft moments? The ones that were not loud but stayed anyway? Leave one in the comments, even just a word. Even if it only happened once, we'll hold it here together. You have seen their fire. It burns hotter, steadier. It does not flicker like yours. It does not beg for kindling. Their fire lives behind a carved door, thick oak. Iron hinges. It opens only for them. Inside, the floor is smooth. The walls hung with furs, not patched for warmth, but for show. They do not crouch by the coals. They sit on chairs with backs and cushions, real ones, stuffed with feathers or wool, not straw. Their bowls are wide, polished, no chips, no smoke stains. Their meat is not boiled into forgetting, it is roasted. Turned slowly over open flame, dripping fat into a pan made of real metal. You smelled it once, honey glazed, seasoned with herbs that grow where others are not allowed to walk. You stood outside the door. Not close, just near enough to inhale. No one invited you in. Of course not. That's not how this works. You are not angry. Not anymore. You were once, when you still believed that fairness lived somewhere in the world. But now, you understand. They do not look at you. And you've learned not to look up. Because looking up invites hope, and hope invites pain. You keep your eyes low. At their boots, never their faces. At the stone floor, never the hearth. You enter only when summoned. Clean, quiet, efficient. You fetch, you carry, you nod. You never linger. Their laughter sounds different, like it has permission. Like it expects no consequences. Once, one of them offered you a piece of fruit, shiny. Unbitten, you took it, you thanked them. They forgot your name by morning. You still remember the taste, soft. Sweet, gone too fast. You do not resent them. Because resentment is heavy, and your hands are already full. You simply avoid their gaze. Because if they look too long, they might remember what you are, and decide you should not be near the door anymore. So you walk behind their chairs. You pour their drinks, and you keep your silence where the honey lives. Have you ever stood just outside a warm room? Not asking to be let in, just needing to know it was real? Leave a memory in the comments, even one you never said out loud. This fire remembers. The cold does not knock anymore. It walks in like it owns the place. You do not have a room or a space. You have a spot, for now. Until someone bigger needs it. Then you move. Everyone moves. Like wolves circling heat, you sleep close, not by choice, but by survival. Backs against backs, feet tangled. Arms tucked in tight like secrets. You learn not to cough, not to roll over. Not to take more space than your body absolutely requires. There are no blankets to go around, just layers of whatever someone didn't steal. Old tunics, frayed cloaks, a pelt with no fur left. You've used them all and shared them all. Ownership is a word you stopped believing in, not because someone took from you, but because everything was always taken before you could claim it. Here, what is yours is only yours until someone touches it first. A crust of bread, a dry patch of floor. A spoon with no splinters. Finders are not keepers. Keepers are quick. Even the fire, what little of it you see, is borrowed. You steal heat from the body beside you. Sometimes it is a child. Sometimes an elder. Once it was someone dying. You shared the heat anyway. There is no shame in need, only the cold. And the cold doesn't care about pride. In the day, you watch with your eyes half closed. Not out of laziness, but calculation. You count what's left. How many crusts? How many dry logs? How many steps between you and the next moment you are allowed to eat? And when something drops, a bit of meat, a chunk of fat. There are no questions, no words, just hands. Reaching. The one who touches it first wins. That's the rule. That's the law. It is not cruel. It is honest. People here do not take more than they need, but they take exactly what they can. And if you're too slow, you learn to chew your hunger instead. You've done it more than once, not just out of patience, out of instinct. Because sometimes the most merciful thing you can do is let someone else have it, even if your stomach screams. You wrap your arms around your knees. The fire is far, but the body beside you exhales. And for now, that is warmth enough. Have you ever shared something you didn't really have to give? Something small, but everything in that moment. Leave a word for it, in the comments, in the silence. We'll remember it with you. The smell reaches you before the sound. Warm. Sweet. A kind of scent that does not belong down here. You pause mid-bite. A dry, brittle crunch between your teeth. Barely food. Mostly memory. You chew slowly. So slowly it becomes theater. Not for anyone else. Just for your own body. To convince it something better is coming. Even though it never is. The crust in your hand is hard. Harder than it should be, cracked at the edges, sharp against your gums. You once cut your mouth on bread. It bled for hours, no one noticed. You learned to chew carefully. Now you turn your head slightly, toward the scent. Up the slope. Toward the part of the longhouse you do not enter. That's where it comes from, the upper quarters. Where the walls are thicker and meals are prepared in quiet pride. Someone is baking, not just cooking, baking. Bread with real grain, flour not stored in damp sacks, yeast maybe. Or honey, you can hear the crust break under someone's teeth, that soft shatter. A luxury, you look down at your own crust, it is stone. But you do not throw it, you hold it like a story. One passed down hand to hand through empty bowls and patient mouths. You close your eyes and you imagine. You let the taste change in your mind. Just for a second, it is soft now, warm. Steaming in your hands. Tears buttered into the surface. You pretend it melts against your tongue. You chew air. And for one bite, it works. You open your eyes. Someone beside you is doing the same. Their eyes are closed. Their jaw moves slower than it needs to. You do not speak. This is a private ritual, because even hunger, especially hunger, can be sacred. You finish what you have. Your tongue pulls the crumbs from your fingers. They taste like dust. And hope. Up the hill, someone laughs through a mouthful of warmth. You smile too. Not because you have it, but because you remember when you did. Have you ever tasted something that wasn't really there, but needed it anyway? Leave that memory here if you want. Maybe someone else is hungry too. There are rules here, but not the kind written down. No parchment, no seals, no signatures. Only memory, only repetition. You learn them the way you learn fire, by getting burned once. You speak too loud? Someone stares, then turns away. You lose your spot near the hearth for 3 nights. You take more food than your share. No one says a word. But the next time your bowl is skipped, you touch what is not yours, they find you. And that's when silence becomes violence. The men who sit in the corner, not warriors, not elders, but both in spirit, they are the law. They do not wear symbols. They do not raise their voices, but when they look at you, you freeze. You remember one day clearly. A boy, barely grown, said something wrong. No one repeated it. That was part of the rule too. But it was heard, and once it is heard, it cannot be undone. They tied his wrists with old rope. Thick, wet, not to cut, just to control. No one screamed, not him, not the ones who took him. He walked without struggle, into the woods. You never saw him again. The story changed over time. Some say he was let go. Some say the spirits took him. Some say his bones still sit beneath the tree line, waiting to be named. You do not ask, because asking is close to doubting. And doubt is not safe here. You keep your head low, your words soft. Your tasks done on time, because justice here is not about fairness, it's about order. And order is maintained by fear. Once you made a joke, too sharp. Too soon after someone died. You didn't mean harm, but someone heard. For days no one looked at you, not in anger, in warning. That was worse. You learned then, words have weight, more than stones. More than blood, they build walls or gallows. You speak less now, you listen more, you measure silence like coin. And when someone is taken, you say nothing, because everyone else is saying nothing too. Have you ever followed rules not because you believed them, but because you had to survive them? Leave a word if you have. You don't have to explain it, just let it rest here. So it's not only yours. You don't remember the moment they decided you were out, only the sound. A door closing behind you, slow, final. Heavy, like a judgment that didn't need words. The snow was already falling, not soft, not slow. It came sideways, sharp, like the sky had turned its face away. You pulled your cloak tighter. It made no difference. The cold had already chosen you. It moved beneath the fabric, settled into your ribs. You didn't knock again. You weren't foolish. You just stood there, counting which way the wind hurt less. They gave you nothing. No food, no fire. Not even a word. Only silence and the dark. You found a shed with 3 walls. The 4th had collapsed last winter. You curled into the corner like something that used to walk upright. The wood was wet, the floor had turned to ice. You didn't light a fire. You had nothing to burn, and even if you did, light meant notice, and notice was worse than cold, so you pressed your hands into your armpits, bent your knees, lowered your head, and waited. Not for warmth, just for the kind of stillness that doesn't ask anything of you. Inside, you could hear them, not clearly. Just enough. A bowl on wood. A laugh. A voice lowered in comfort. They didn't say your name, of course not. But you listened anyway, because humans do that, even when they know better. Later, the wolves howled. Not near, but near enough to make you remember how soft your throat was. You said nothing. You just folded smaller. Smaller than your hunger. Smaller than your hope. And in the morning, no footsteps, no firelight. No one asking where you were. You walked back in with frost on your lashes, and no one met your eyes. Which meant they knew, and did nothing. That was the rule. Have you ever been left outside? Not because you were lost, but because someone else said so? Leave a word here if you want. You don't have to explain. Just right, I came back too. You hear them before you see them. Bare feet, too small for the cold, slapping the snow like it's part of a game. It stings. But they don't know that yet. 3 shapes in motion. 2 girls with tangled hair. A boy missing a tooth, his voice too loud for mourning. They fly between sheds, dodging frozen piles of wood, laughing like they stole something they don't have to return. You watch from the doorway, wrapped in a fur more whole than hide. Still, half shadow, they sing as they run. A song with rules made up on the spot, rhythm stolen from an old lullaby, lyrics bent by time. You sleep, I count. You stop, I shout. When the breath is gone, we dig you out. They don't know where it came from, but someone's grandmother does. Someone whose fingers once stitched that tune into a winter long gone. A bone arcs through the air, lands sharp side up in the snow. They circle it, arms wide, toes daring the edge. Playing balance with danger they do not believe in. You almost call out, a warning. a name, but you stop, because their laughter is untouched. Whole, still sharp with innocence, still louder than the cold. They do not fear the wind yet, or the night, or the silence that waits when the fire dies low. They are not old enough for that. One girl slips, elbow to ice. A pause, the kind that measures whether pain becomes memory. Then, laughter. Louder than before because the others are watching, and pride is learned before survival. They lift her, keep running, you turn away. Not because you're done watching, but because it still hurts to remember what it was like to run without counting the cost. Their laughter follows you back inside, thin, bright, breaking like ice under a foot that doesn't yet know weight. Do you remember the last time you laughed without knowing why it would end? Leave a piece of it here, a season, a smell. A sound that used to be yours. Let someone else find it in the snow. They do not carry swords, but they hold everything else. Not leaders, not legends, not the names sung by firelight. But without them, the house falls. You see one now, at dawn. Knees buried in snow, hands in flour and ash, fingers cracked open by salt and silence. She does not ask for help. She asks what needs doing, and then does it. The knife in her hand is older than her. The cut is clean, the motion exact. Her body moves like memory, faster than thought, sharper than pride. You wonder if she's forgotten how to rest, or if rest was never hers to begin with. Later, she will wrap someone's wound, a bloodied knuckle, a lip split by carelessness. She will not flinch, not because she is brave, because pain has been her teacher longer than most men have held axes. Another woman passes, 2 buckets leaking, her tunic soaked, her steps sure. She does not look for dry ground. She does not curse the weight. You remember once seeing her cry. But not in sound, just a breath, a wipe of her cheek. Then back to the dough, the fire, the next thing that needed her. They do not speak of sorrow. They sew it, fold it into hymns. Tuck it behind the eyes of children they raise and bury. Their laughter is soft, like something borrowed. Something they're not sure they're allowed to keep. They do not tell stories, but they carry them. In backs bent from bearing, in wrists that never stop turning spoons, in the way they teach the young to be silent at the right time. You wonder what they would say if the world ever asked, but the world doesn't, so they continue. Baking, binding, bearing. Becoming. Not because they are unbreakable, because no one ever gave them permission to break. You pass one now. She sees you, not with a smile, with understanding, then looks away. Do you know someone like her? Someone who stitched a whole life together and never asked for thanks? Leave her here, just a name. A gesture, a moment you still carry like a quiet warmth. They do not carry axes. They carry centuries. You see them most when the fire burns low, when shadows stretch long, when even the youngest grow quiet. They do not speak to command. They speak to remember, to keep what the cold has not yet erased. Their backs are bent, not from weakness, from bearing time others have forgotten. You sit near them, not close. You've learned that memory has edges, sharp ones, and the old carry theirs like knives under skin. One begins to speak. Her voice is slow, not with hesitation, but with precision, like someone unwrapping something delicate. She tells of a king who wears no crown, but whose eyes are made of coal. Who walks the north wind, searching for the child that ran too far from fire. Another speaks of a sea creature, longer than a hall, silent as breath. It only rises when someone sings a song no one has sung in decades. They don't ask for belief, they don't need it. Belief is for gods. Memory is for survival. You nod when they pause, not because you understand, but because listening is part of the bargain. Their hands shake sometimes, But when they close their eyes, they speak with clarity that would shame the young. You see it, a name spoken with reverence. A place lost to flood, a lover never buried. They whisper these things as if they could shatter if said too loudly. Sometimes they forget your name, call you someone else, a brother, a mother, a soldier. You don't correct them. You hold the shape they need just for a little while, and in that moment you are remembered, not for who you are, but for who they needed. You feel their hand reach out, not soft, not seeking, just anchoring to the now. To you, you let them, the stories twist, fade, circle back. The fire snaps, but no one moves. Because everyone knows what is said in these moments may not be said again. And some truths, some ghosts, need to be spoken once to stay quiet forever. When the tale ends, they look at the fire, as if waiting for it to answer. They forget you're there, but you don't forget them. Because you know one day you will be the one who remembers, and someone else will sit in the corner waiting to be called by a name that isn't theirs, but fits just for a breath. Do you remember the first story you ever heard? Who told it to you? What stayed? Leave it here. A name, a voice, even just the sound of fire. Let memory circle back the way it always does. He moves without haste, yet with purpose that trembles like a string about to snap. No one calls him by name, not from fear, but from unspoken respect. He is known only as the one who sees, the whisperer, the seer. The voice we hear in our own half-forgotten dreams. You rarely see him. He drifts in and out like a shadow cast by torchlight. He does not follow the rhythm of work. He does not rise or sleep with the rest. He appears only when the air changes and the longhouse shivers, when something small or large does not belong. His robes look as old as time itself, patches of woven wool, bark fibers, stains from smoke and earth. They smell of damp wood in a cave, of moss beneath ancient stones, of blood that has dried but not healed. He does not speak loudly. He never raises his voice. His words come slowly, measured, each syllable loaded, meant not for ears but for bones. A message delivered through the marrow that whispers, "I know." Today he arrives just as the fire crackles low. Someone is ill. The room is quiet. Not from peace, but from waiting. The sick one, agonized breaths, each shorter than the last, lies on a mat beside the hearth. Their breath is shallow. Their lungs tremble, not with cold, but with something darker. You watch as people step back. They close doors softly. They stop activity. Breathing itself becomes too loud, too invasive. He moves through them all like a thread pulling a tapestry, unseen until he's beside the patient. Then everyone notices. He kneels with a care that surprises you. No grand gesture, no proclamation, just presence. He places a hand on the patient's chest, not warm, but steady, a weightless anchor. He hums. A single tone, flat, low. A resonance that seems to vibrate through the air, the wood, the stones. It hums in your bones. Minutes pass, or is it hours? Time slips by in the flicker of embers. He does not speak injury or promise. He lifts his hand. No words, no prophecy, only an absence weighted with meaning. He stands. His robes whisper across the floor. He glances at the others, not accusing, not hopeful, just knowing. Then he walks away. Again, no explanations. No comfort offered, just silence, thicker than any plea. You remain seated, grasping your own blanket as if it might whisper something back, as if heat could return through memory alone. You wonder what just happened. Did he uplift the sick or did he call them home? No one asks. Because there are some questions whose answers hold more weight than fear. Later that night, you lie awake. Your chest tightens, not from cold, but from something in your ribs knotting. Your breath feels borrowed. Your ribs ache. You remember the hum, You remember the stillness, and you want that presence. If only one hand could rest on your heart the same way, not to heal, but to hear. You imagine that night, the cold beyond your blanket, the silence close enough to listen to your own pulse. You hope. You fear. Two sides of the same coin. You never prayed again for anything, but you listened. Listened for footsteps, for a hum behind your door, for someone to say, "I see you." And when morning comes, you open your eyes. Still here, still breathing, still waiting. Have you ever felt the touch of someone who saw you without words? Leave a memory, a name, a breath, a moment, quiet but certain. This place will hold it. Like he holds presence in silence. It is a small bowl, but in a room like this, even small things have weight. You hold it with both hands, not for fear of dropping it, but for the quiet belief that two hands might make it feel fuller. The broth inside is thin, barely broth at all. Just hot water made cloudy by a root that's been boiled 3 times too many. A sliver of bone that gave all its flavor to yesterday's pot, and something that once resembled meat, now shrunken. Gray, curling at the edges like a secret trying to disappear. This is dinner. The fire glows behind you. Not bright, not generous, but it exists. Which is more than you expected. Around you, the room breathes slow. A collection of bodies sitting shoulder close, but thought far. You do not speak. No one does. Words have too much sharpness at this hour. Too much memory. Speaking reminds people they are still people, and that hurts more than hunger. A single pot for the room, stirred carefully, never scraped too deep. No one asks for more. That would mean someone else gets less. You remember once, someone took a second ladle without looking up. The silence that followed was longer than any punishment. Their name was never spoken again, but their face was remembered each night someone's bowl felt too light. Your turn comes. You approach the pot like approaching a sleeping dog. Measured, respectful, head low. The ladle is warm in your hand, too warm, like it remembers how to scald. You scoop. One piece of something surfaces, small. Pale, private, you could take it. And no one might stop you, but someone would see, and seeing is its own kind of knife. You let it slide back into the pot. Take only the broth. Cloudy. Honest, you return to your place. Your feet have gone numb. Your knees whisper complaints. You lower slowly, so it doesn't seem like weakness. A child watches you. From across the hearth, not your child, not anyone's anymore. He watches your hand, not your face. He is learning. What hunger looks like when it pretends not to. You eat slowly, not from reverence, from strategy. Quick bites mean need. Need invites pity. Pity invites power. So you chew like someone who isn't starving, even when your stomach cries like an open wound. Beside you, someone coughs. A wet sound. The kind that sticks. They lift their bowl, sip, pause. Sip again. You glance sideways. The cough comes again. Your spoon hovers. Just one bite left. You think about offering it. You really do, but you lower the spoon, lift it to your own mouth, and finish, not from selfishness, from calculation. You need to last the night. Tomorrow's work will not do itself, and the fire gives no warmth to ghosts. Someone exhales near you, not a sigh, a resignation. The room settles. The fire cracks once, like a voice that has decided not to speak after all. You place the empty bowl by your side. The wood floor creaks beneath it. That too feels like hunger. You sit still, let the warmth fade from your hands. It didn't reach your chest anyway. You look down, a drop of broth on your sleeve. You lick it off. That is what gratitude looks like here. What was the smallest meal that made the biggest mark? Not because of taste, but because it taught you something you didn't know you were learning. Leave it here. A scent, a moment. A spoon that meant more than food. We'll remember it together. Sleep here is not a gift. It is a truce, negotiated nightly between cold, fear, and fatigue. There is no bed. There is only floor. Only straw that has known too many backs. Only dirt pressed into the shape of countless bodies who lay here before you, breathing quietly, desperately, anonymously. You lie down, not because it is night, but because everyone else has. And movement after that is betrayal. You curl in, small, tight, efficient, not for comfort, for heat, for space, for the one layer of stillness that protects you from being nudged, judged, or remembered. You do not sleep alone. No one does. There is no alone here. Only proximity, only the accidental grace of another body giving off warmth, back to back. Shoulder to spine, knees bent like a prayer. It doesn't matter whose skin touches yours. Only that it's warm, only that it stays. The air is thick. Not with heat, but with breath. Dozens of lungs cycling through the same air, inhaled and exhaled until it is more memory than oxygen. Smoke lingers near the rafters. Sweat clings to cloth that hasn't been washed in seasons. And beneath it all, the slow, sour drift of bodies that dream without peace. A cough. A moan. A whispered name that no one answers. The fire is there, somewhere. You see its light flicker against the far wall, but it does not come this far. It does not belong to you. Heat here is a hierarchy. You sleep where you stand in the silence. You sleep where no one else claimed first. Tonight, your ribs meet the edge of a crate. Your feet tangle in a stranger's blanket. Someone's elbow rides the curve of your shoulder blade. You do not complain. Complaining is remembered, and memory here is a form of punishment. You lie still, muscles clenched, then unclenched, quietly. Stillness is strategy. Stillness is how you keep your place. Stillness is how you are allowed to return tomorrow night. A baby cries once. It is hushed, not with love, but with need. A man groans in a language you do not understand. Someone near you mutters something sharp. Not at you, but sharp enough to cut anyway. Your thoughts begin to turn. Not loudly, but thoughts have a way of making sound where there should be none. You try to stop them, not because you fear where they go, but because thoughts lead to dreams, and dreams are dangerous. Dreams show you soft places, warm beds, hands that touch without taking. Eyes that close because they feel safe. You do not want to remember those things. Remembering hurts more than the cold. Your fingers are stiff. Your hip digs into a stone beneath the straw. A splinter runs along your calf. You do not move. You do not adjust. Adjusting would shift the entire arrangement. Would open a gap. Would cost you body heat. Would wake someone who does not forgive easily. Someone exhales near your cheek. Their breath is sour, but it is warm. You accept it. In this room, even breath can be mercy. You close your eyes. Not to sleep, but to signal surrender, to blend, to disappear. Sleep comes eventually, not like a blanket, but like frost, slow, creeping, certain. You do not remember when you cross over, only that when you wake, everything is the same. Same fire, same breath, same shape of your body in the straw. And that, in this place, is the greatest luck you can ask for. You are still here, still unclaimed by sickness. Still unseen by those who would move you down the line, still holding your spot in the night. Do you remember the last time you shared sleep with someone? Not for love, but for warmth. No words, no promises. Just silence and skin, and the quiet agreement to stay alive one more hour. Leave a word, a dot, a time of night. So we know you were here, and you made it through. Sometimes the only warmth left is a dream. Not the fire, not the fur, not even the breath of the one curled behind you. Only that flicker behind the eyes, A place the cold can't yet reach. Tonight, it comes. Not quickly. Not kindly, but like a tide you forgot how to fight. You feel it first in your spine. The moment your body surrenders, your muscles unclench just enough, and something else enters. It is not snow, not wind, not silence. It is sun. Not the harsh light that glares through holes in the roof, not the pale imitation that crawls across frost. A real sun. Amber, soft, the kind that makes you believe you were never cold to begin with. You are standing in a field. The earth beneath your feet is dry, not cracked. Not scorched, just warm. Your soles do not sting. Your knees do not wobble. You walk like you belong. There is no longhouse. No woodpile, no blood scrubbed from stone. Only the sound of grass brushing your ankles and the breeze that smells like water untouched by ash. You see no faces, but you feel them somewhere ahead, those who came before you. Those you buried without words, those you loved only in glances and silence. They are waiting. Not with torches, not with judgment, just open hands. And still, your body hesitates. Because even in dreams, freedom is a strange thing. You move anyway. A river appears. It curves through the field like a scar, but a clean one, not a wound. A mark of passage. You kneel, cup the water. Drink. It is cold, but not cruel. It tastes like something you lost long ago. A taste without name, a memory without pain. Across the river, a figure stands. Not tall, not grand, but solid. You cannot see the face, but you know the posture, the tilt of the head. The way the arms hang like they've held grief and refuse to let it rot them. The figure speaks your name, not what they call you in the fields. Not what they shouted the night you were left outside. Your name, the one given in a breath. The one you buried when no one else bothered to remember. You step forward. The river parts. The grass bends. The sky holds its breath. You are almost there, almost touched, almost known. And then, you wake. Not to sunlight, but to the sour breath of sleep, to the weight of someone's elbow across your stomach, to the stink of wet straw and the moan of wind through broken boards. You do not cry, because crying would break the seal. Would push the dream further away, so you lie still, eyes closed. As if still there, as if still whole, someone coughs. Someone shifts. Someone mutters a name that is not yours. You curl tighter. Not for warmth, for memory. You try to carry the dream back with you. Like water in a cracked bowl. Knowing most of it will spill, but hoping enough remains. Enough to remind you that somewhere, somehow, you are more than what this cold allows. And maybe tomorrow, the dream will come again. Or maybe it was your only mercy. Have you ever woken from a dream so kind you didn't dare speak of it? Leave a word here, a time, a whisper you still taste when no one is watching. Let it rest with mine, where even the frost can't reach. If it were you, could you survive a night here? No soft bed to cradle your bones, no door to lock out the cold or the world. No silence that comforts, only the kind that weighs heavy on your chest, pressing down like an invisible hand. Could you lie on damp straw, feeling the hard press of someone else's elbow against your ribs, and say nothing? Could you eat from a bowl, the broth so thin it remembers more than the people in the room do? Could you share a wall with strangers, a room thick with cold, a life with no promises, no rest? Would you last if no one asked how your day went? If no one uttered your name for a month? If you disappeared and no one noticed until they counted rations? Would you know how to wash yourself in water that bites not only your skin but your memory? Would you know where to step when snow hides traps and silence hides tension, and the smallest misstep means a month of shame? Could you sit by a fire, never speak, never sing, never laugh too loud because someone would say, "That one thinks they're more than they are"? Would you be able to hold in a scream when your back aches, your teeth shake, your hands raw from a day that gave you nothing but pain? Could you sleep, not for rest, but because staying awake costs more than you can pay? Could you live, not for joy, not for meaning, but simply because no one gave you permission to stop? Would you? Could you? Or maybe you already do. If this feels close, closer than it should, leave a word in the comments. Not to explain, not to impress, just to say, yes. I heard this, I felt this, and I am still here. There is light now. Not the flicker of firelight, but cold, constant light. The kind you command with a switch. There is warmth, not from shared breath or layered furs, but from humming machines hidden behind walls. There is food, so much food that some of it rots before anyone pauses to say thanks. There is connection. Blue screens glowing in every pocket, instant messages flying faster than thoughts, 1,000 names stored in your hand. But still, you flinch when someone knocks. Still hesitate before you speak. Still wonder if today will be the day someone decides you are too much or not enough. You have mirrors now, clear, sharp mirrors. But you wake up, looking at eyes you no longer recognize. You scroll past photos, people laughing, dancing, winning, and feel like the shadow at the edge of the feast, the one whose bowl is empty, whose name is misspelled, whose voice is not in the song. You have a bed now, a pillow, a door to close. But you lie awake, wondering, would anyone notice if you disappeared? For a day. A week? Forever? You tell yourself it must be better now. It has to be better, but the cold still finds you, not in your bones this time, but in the silence between messages, in the echo of seen but never answered, in the empty space where touch used to live. You whisper to yourself, I am fine, I am fine, I am fine. And you hope, just once, someone will say it first. Not because they have to, but because they saw you, because they stayed. If no one has said it to you today, let me be the first. You are still here. You are still enough. You are not forgotten. Leave A in the comments if you've ever felt invisible in a world that claims to be more connected than ever. You lived through it, not the war, not the voyage, not the legend. Just one night, one long, cold night. A night where softness was rationed, where warmth was something you earned, not given, where silence was never peace, but a necessary armor for survival. You lay down on straw, not expecting rest, not expecting comfort, just hoping to wake up whole, and you did. Maybe not rested, maybe still aching, but breathing. And sometimes that is enough. You did not have to speak. You did not have to prove anything. You did not have to win. You just had to stay, to last, to not let the cold decide your fate. And you did. There were no witnesses. No medals pinned to your chest, no morning applause, just you. And that is more than most ever had. Now, as the first pale light slips softly through the cracks, you shift your weight, stretch limbs stiff from the cold. Take a deeper breath than you dared last night. You do not smile, but your jaw unclenches. You do not speak, but your throat no longer burns. You do not run, but your feet no longer hide. You rise, not to conquer, not to impress, but simply because the floor is still beneath you, because the day waits, quiet, unsure. Like you made it through the night, and in some way, through your own story. So before you close your eyes again, know this. You are not soft for being tired. You are not weak for wanting more. You are not alone for needing a story to feel less alone. And tonight, this was yours. Sleep now. Not as escape, but as arrival. Because not every story must roar. Some just whisper, you're still here, you made it. If this story stayed with you, leave A in the comments or say nothing at all. Sometimes silence is the softest proof that someone else was listening too.